Hello and welcome back to another edition of our Talk It Out sessions presented by VERB. We are your hosts, Aaron Tate, Adrian Poe. Jasmine couldn't be with us today, so it's just going to be us. So thank you guys for tuning in. So you know what we like to do. If you've been catching our other videos, what we do is we pick a certain topic surrounding a number of social issues or that's very controversial in the world today, and we decide to discuss it. We come up with several questions surrounding the topic, but we also want to interact with you guys as well. So for those of you tuning in, please feel free to comment and ask any questions throughout the video so that we can get a lot of interaction and a lot of conversation being forwarded with you guys as well. So today's topic is going to be y'all don't care about us. Would you like to explain how we came to this topic?
So in light of a lot of our other conversations, we realized that the male or the man's perspective is not really taken into consideration based on how the world or society as a whole has really made it their business to protect the female. And by no means are we saying that the female shouldn't have that level of protection because of everything that happens to them. But for this specific topic, we're really dealing with more of those non-tangible things, such as our feelings, our mentality, like the things that we project that's not tangible, that's not physical. They're kind of brushed to the side because of the societal promotion of, well, the female feels this way, so we need to care for that more than we care for what the guy says because he'll be all right. But we'll get into it.
All right. And like I said, throughout the discussion, feel free to ask any questions or to provide your perspective or how you feel about the situation so that we can try to see all sides of the situation. And again, thank you guys for tuning in. So getting into it with the first question. So again, the topic is y'all don't care about us. And the first question is, who is y'all? Who is y'all? So for me, y'all is not inclusive of everyone. We understand that we're not boxing everybody into the same category. We do understand that there are some of you out there who do, men and women who do feel the need to protect the men, and we're not talking to you guys. Y'all are the y'all that we're describing in the topic is the people who don't protect the idea of the man as far as how we feel about certain things, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. We're talking to those people. So yeah, that's who y'all is.
Yeah, I agree. For me, y'all is anyone who subscribes to the societal order of not considering our perspectives just as valid as the female's perspectives, or not putting as much thought into what we say because deep down y'all figure that we'll be all right anyway. So it's kind of the same difference for me.
Yeah. Let's go ahead with the next question. Who was us? Would you like to?
I mean, us men. Us men.
Yeah. Men. Yeah. Men. Us men. Y'all don't care about us men. And we're talking about those men who do value emotions, who does value spirituality, who does value mental, who does consider those things that are normally held in higher regard from women. Who we're talking about those men who consider those things to be in high regard for ourselves as well. So that's who us is. We're a part of that us. So before we go into the next question, I see a couple people tuned in. So how do you guys feel about the idea of y'all don't care about us, meaning the world doesn't care about the idea of man? How do y'all feel about that? Got a couple people in there. I'm gonna wait for some of that. So the next question is, what do we mean by that? So what do we mean by the idea that y'all don't care about us? So I'll give an example. So just the other day, I was talking to my friend Tiana, right, on the phone. She was asking me about, my relationship with Monique and stuff like that, and when she's going to be moving down here, and what our plans are for moving out of this apartment, of this area. And so I was letting her know, like, once she's finally done with school and she's finally here permanently, we're likely going to be looking for somewhere else to stay, right? So she makes the comment and she's like, good, because that neighborhood is too dangerous for her to be walking into that apartment alone at night by herself, right? Yeah. This is what she told me.
This apartment you've been living in?
That I've been living in for going on 4 years now.
Okay.
She was like, good, because that neighborhood is too dangerous for her to be walking into that apartment alone at night, all right? So me, in true Aaron fashion, I was like, well, what about me?
Right. Have she ever said that about you?
No, son. I was like, is it not too dangerous for me to be living here by myself? Shit. Nah, you a man. You gonna be all right.
See? That's what I'm talking about. What? That's what I'm talking about right there. It's that you will be okay mentality. And that's not okay.
That's not okay. And so that's what we mean by y'all don't care about us and that's just one aspect in terms of the perceived level of caution or the perceived level of care as it pertains to our safety in comparison to the woman. Like, as long as the women and children are protected, everybody else, you just on your own, which is, and y'all look for the men to be the one to protect the women and children, but who's going to protect us? So that for me, that's one aspect in which though the world doesn't care about, or y'all don't care about us. It's like, when it comes to our safety, that doesn't matter. As long as who needs to be protected is protected, y'all can handle yourselves. And that's not always the case, or that shouldn't, even if we can handle ourselves, it's not possible to be able to have ourselves all the time. Like, there are going to be situations where we're not able to be on our P's and Q's the way we would normally need to be.
Equivalent to, say it was 3 guys that attacked Monique here. Mm-hmm. Those same 3 guys could attack you and overwhelm you because you're only one person. Mm-hmm. So she could have easily said, y'all don't need to be in that environment, because even if it's you and Monique, it's still 2 against 3.
Right.
But at no point did she factor in that, dang, those same 3 or 4 people that could attack Monique could also attack Aaron. So
who's been living here for the past 4 years.
And she never brought up the fact that, I'm concerned about your well-being or how that environment makes you feel, because you will be all right.
Right. I'm a man.
And I'll give you another example. So for me, females, I was talking to my homegirl the other day, and she has a boyfriend that she wants to, marry or whatever. And she brought up an idea, and she was like, oh, well, she wanted to buy another house. She just bought a house. And I was like, well, what if the guy is okay with moving into your house and living there forever? She was like, I'll accept that, but I want to get another house. For me, it's like, well, what if he determines that since you already established this and he's okay with moving into it and making that y'all's home, there's no need of creating more debt. Let's go ahead and just pay this off. And she was like really bent on, this is not my forever home. And I'm like, what about him though? Like, if his perception of it is, okay, we're now together and you have this and I have this, let's bring it together, but you're wanting to rip it apart to go create more. It's like, y'all don't care about how we feel as long as you get what you want. Mm-hmm. And I even take it further with that same concept. Like, a lot of things that my wife say, it's like she know what she want, but I feel like she don't factor in all that it takes to accomplish that thing. Nor do she always factor in the major parts that I'm going to have to play to uphold the thing that she wanted. Prime example, my wife bought a dog home one day when we was pregnant.
Oh, okay.
And she was like, oh my God, I want a dog. I'm like, we don't need no dog. Like, we 3 weeks from having a baby. She bought a dog home. And I'm like, you're not finna take care of that dog. I'm gonna have to feed the dog. I'm gonna have to like get the shed.
At this point,
and
you're gonna be taking care of two children.
Two children,
Yes.
right? But in her mind, it's like he'll be all right. Like this is what I really want, so let's get it. And it's like you don't really care about the things that I have to do to uphold what you want. Mm-hmm. The only thing you care about is I got what I want. Now, this was, of course, when Noah was, in her stomach. So we've had great improvements since then. But I'm just bringing this up to notate how society has perpetuated the idea that as long as everybody else is okay, the man should be proud that he can hold all this weight up. And I know that the things that we brought up may be minute, but these small things turn into bigger things later on. So, of course, your safety in an environment that you've been living in that you're clearly okay with may be small. Mm-hmm. My wife bringing a dog home that I got to clean up the boo-boo and take care of the dog and clean up the shedding may be small. But those same concepts, they merge over along the period of time into bigger things. And it's like, you don't care about how I feel at this point. Yeah. And that's my version of y'all don't care about us. Like, consider how we feel or how those things may affect us. And at this point, because society has did it so long, I'm not even allowed to be like, you don't think about how I feel. Oh, you a man, you'll be all right. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm human too, though.
Yeah. Then we got one comment from Monique. She was like, side note, mic sound good. Thank you, baby.
Thank you.
What's another example we can think of in a way in which the world doesn't consider the man?
Another one that I have is when we're having conversation, especially between male and female, and I've been noticing this a lot lately within the last month or so. The female's perspective, not all the time and not all females, is most likely going to be coming from an emotional response, which means they're not going to always be vocalizing what they're really trying to say. And I get that. Now, there are females who are able to legitimately tell you exactly what's on their mind, but most of the time they do it in a roundabout way. So then when I respond, I'm legitimately telling you exactly what I'm saying. And now it creates a communication barrier because I hear you, I understand you, I comprehend you. But when I give you mine, y'all don't care about that because it doesn't sound like what I told you. And a lot of females are not even willing to consider what I'm saying because I'm in so much emotional distress or so much emotional disarray that regardless of whatever you just said, I'm the only one that should be heard in this situation, or the way that I perceive this is the only way that there is to perceive it because my emotions matter more than you.
And that also speaks to how our emotions don't matter. Right. So it's like, what if we were to be in emotional distress in the same fashion? That wouldn't be considered valid because, first of all, men aren't perceived to be emotional. Men are perceived to not even have emotions to begin with. And so, like, I know we've had conversations with Jasmine a lot of times where she makes excuses for things that women do on their end, but then on the man's end, it's like, do better.
Yeah.
But it's like, but we're doing the same thing.
Yeah, we're asking for the same thing.
You know what I mean? Like, so give us the same courtesy that you want us to give you. Mm-hmm. Like, if you want us to have to deal with your emotional side because that's just what women do, how come that space isn't allowed for men to be emotional and that be just as okay?
Prime example, when we were having a conversation about, she said that men should know what triggers their females in communication. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay. So she said we shouldn't say things that trigger our females in communication. And when we was like, well, okay, well, females should also understand that their men are not intentionally trying to trigger you and not take it as a trigger. She was like, nah, y'all should just do better. Like, we're legitimately asking for the same thing. You're asking me.
And by the way, Jasmine has evolved since.
Yeah. She's way beyond that.
Yeah, if you're listening, Jasmine, we love you.
We do. But it's like, I understand that you're saying that when I speak to you as a man, I need to be conscious of if you ask me how a dress looks, and my truth is I don't really like it, but you know that it's a trigger for me to not like something of you, not like something you have on. When I say I don't really like it, because you know that's my truth and that's my style of communication, you shouldn't receive it as harsh as you would if you didn't know that. But it's really hard for her to grasp the fact that, well, you know I don't like if you don't like something, but then you ask me though. Like, we really don't have the space to effectively and truthfully express anything outside of constantly having to consider how other people feel. But those same people are constantly asking us stuff and constantly wanting us to weigh in.
Right.
And to me, I'd be like, it'd be better off for me just not to say nothing, which is a traditional response from, if you ask any older man, they'll say, when your wife is talking, just let her have it. Or it'll be better just not to say nothing. And I used to figure, I'd be like, why would you say that? Like, we need to talk, but I get it now because they accepted defeat in the area of communication, because the world perpetuates the idea since the female,
right.
yes, since the female have the title of emotions, emotions trump no emotions. But guess what? I have emotions too. Mm-hmm. And what I say is just as valid or even more valid as what you say. But since society has gave us this concept, don't say nothing, bro. Just let her have it, bro. They always right, bro. It'll be easy to just let it go. She'll get over it in a minute. Like, why do we have to be subject to not responding, but then you ask us, just communicate with me?
Or we talk and we always talking, but y'all ain't.
You'll never say nothing.
Right.
I don't know what I can say. Am I allowed to say anything?
Right. So how do y'all feel about what we're saying so far? Do y'all agree? Do y'all disagree? Share y'all's perspective with us, please.
And do y'all at least see the position it puts us in forms of communication or expressing ourselves without being devalued or our concerns being like lowered based on societal's perspectives that women are right, or your wife knows best, or your mom knows best. Like, these females have just enough space to be wrong as we do. Your emotions doesn't validate your point. And it's amazing to me that we've gotten so deep in this. Even when I'm legitimately expressing how I feel, it's just not digestible. Like, they just not. I just can't swallow that.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's so bad. And you don't have but like a few people like us who's willing to like step out and be like, hey y'all, you know, what you said just hurt my feelings, or what you said created a space to where I didn't like that, or I decided to feel some type of way about what you said because that's wrong. Like the other day, Swanee used the term, she thought I was chasing clout with her. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I respect your perspective. I understand how you came to that perspective, but I'm humbly and honestly admitting to you that I was not chasing clout. I was naturally being sarcastic. Like, I wasn't. And she was like, I don't care what you say. Like, you were chasing clout. Like, we've got to the point in society where they perpetuated this idea so much to where when I'm genuinely voicing how I feel, it's not even considered as a legitimate perspective. Mm-hmm. And that's why people say, men shut down. It's really not me shutting down. I just come to the conclusion that it's a wiser decision for me to stop trying to talk, because no matter what I'm saying, it's not getting across. And these are not like aggressive debates. These are just everyday conversations that we have to get out of that routine of, if the female isn't the one giving that perspective, it's not as valid. Mm-hmm. I really didn't realize it was this bad. Like, I'm just thinking now, like, a lot of people I talk to, and it makes sense now why guys feel more comfortable with talking to their homeboys, because we both struggle with this area, especially in a relationship. Like, we all struggle with that miscommunication. And the reason that the communication is missed is because the world has given the counterpart the idea that because I have emotions attached to mine and you don't, your communication is not valid.
Yeah. I think another way is how I think women in general are given a lot more leeway to mess up or fall on their butt or fall on their face. Men aren't given that same leeway. Like for instance, like the idea of a man-woman relationship is the man is the provider, the woman is the one being taken care of and taking care of the house and stuff like that. So now, and this is not to say that there aren't women out there who, in a position to take care of the man, don't take care of the man. Like we do know that there are women who are capable, and who do take care of their men if necessary. But I think because it's so perceived that the man is supposed to be the provider, we're not given as much leeway to mess up or to not be able to hold down a job or to pay bills or to take care of your woman, because it's already set up to where the woman is the one supposed to be taken care of. Mm-hmm. So if she does anything to mess up, okay, well the man comes along and fixes it.
Yeah.
Like that time, and this isn't to put your business out, but the time when your wife was getting all them loans and stuff like that, mm-hmm. like, and not even to go into detail about the situation, but the fact that, and I don't even think she was cognizant or conscious of it at the time, but I think on a subconscious level, she felt so comfortable with digging such a deep hole for herself.
Because she knew.
Because at the end of the day, I have a safety net. Mm-hmm. Like at the end, you would have never done that because you don't have a safety net. You don't have anybody that at the end of the day you can go and be like, yo, look,
help me,
help me. Like
so we are that.
We are that. So I think we're giving such little leeway in comparison to the woman to mess up, and to where if we do mess up, we don't have anybody to turn to. But a woman can do all these things, can be getting loans or be messing up her credit or doing whatever, whenever, and even though she knows it's not a good idea, she's comfortable with going along with it anyway, because at the end of the day, I have my man here to provide me that safety net if necessary.
And we don't have that at all. Like, who do we turn to? Because when we do it, it's an automatic notch from us. Mm-hmm. Like, they take that from us. Oh, you not a man because you did such and such. But when the female does it, it's like, oh, her husband to save her. Yeah. And it's not even reconsidered that. You really hadn't been doing it in the first place. Right. So we got a long comment, though.
So Monique, she said, just letting us have it also hinders us from becoming emotionally intelligent. I'm sure I can speak from many women when I say it is hard to take into consideration y'all's feelings because we're just so wrapped up in our own, just my opinion.
Yep. Monique, when I tell you, I am so elated. Read it again. Like, that's perfect. And that's what I be trying to tell. Like, I got like a wife and friend girls. And when they say something to me, like, I legit repeat myself 4 or 5 times while telling them, I heard you. I accept what you said. But what I'm doing now is telling you how I feel. And their response is never, okay, I get that. It's always repeating what they said the very first time.
But nah, I feel like you did.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you what I did.
I'm telling you what I did.
So she said,
please read that again.
So just letting us have it, quote unquote, also hinders us from becoming emotionally intelligent. I'm sure I can speak for many women when I say it is hard to take into consideration y'all's feelings because we're just so wrapped up in our own. Just my opinion.
That's that last part again. Like, it's so hard for them to consider our feelings because they're so wrapped up in their own. And I believe the reason that they're so wrapped up in their own is because the world has perpetuated the idea for so long that we don't have them. When they're presented, they're overlooked.
Right.
So I get it.
She said we got to come up off that. Yes, baby. We all do.
Legit.
Bobby Sims Jr. This is good. Adrian, I need the mic info when y'all finish.
Oh, bet.
Kathy Wright. What up, Kathy? I feel you both have valid points about different situations. I'm the one usually shut down if I feel I'm not being heard. I don't like to argue, so after you and I say what we need to say, and we can't. Hold on. and we can't come to some kind of agreement, let's just agree to disagree. No need to argue for hours about it.
Legit. I got you, Bobby. So, and my thing with that is this, Kathy, like maybe like a month or two ago, me and my wife had like a major argument, and like I heard her the very first time. Like I legit understood everything she said. And like I legitimately spent the next couple of hours saying the same thing over and over. And I don't know when it clicked, but the tension was so high. The moment that my wife legitimately considered, not agree, not accept, the moment she just considered what I said as a perspective, the tension disappeared. Like we didn't even legitimately solve the problem. Just the fact that she actually considered what I said, I was good. Like I felt so much peace. The fact that, oh, you actually heard me. And a lot of time, that's where that agree to disagree comes from. We have to come to the conclusion that my wife was coming from an emotional standpoint. I was coming from a logical standpoint. I understand her emotional standpoint, but a lot of times it's hard for her to digest my logical one in those emotions. And then we go 2 or 3 days and then she come back and she be like, dang, that makes sense now. Because when her emotions are lowered, she can now operate in the logic that I was trying to give her 3 days ago. But shoot, by then, I don't want it. Like, I don't even want it because I poured everything into trying to give you that 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, bruh.
Rhonda Jones also said, although men are taxed with great responsibility.
Oh, I love that.
I wish women would still show up for you guys. We need to do better. Yes.
Thank you. Who said that?
Rhonda Jones.
Thank you, Rhonda. I love that opening statement. Like we taxed.
We are
like
there's like I remember I was at work. This was like 3 years ago, and I don't know what we were doing. I think phone calls were slow or something like that. And we were having me and my team were having a conversation about men and women. And I had made the statement like, yo, there's a lot of pressure that comes with the penis. Like there is so much pressure that comes with with having a penis, yo. Like,
that's wild. I never thought about that.
Bro, there's a lot of pressure that comes with the penis. Like we gotta be providers, we gotta be protectors, we gotta be able to hold, like be able to create a bowl to hold all of y'all's emotions, and you know, and it overflows, but we don't have a space to pour our emotions into. Like we provide a space for y'all to just do what y'all want to do and mess up as much, and then have to be the ones to fix. Like we're problem solvers. Like we're so many things. And again, this isn't to take away anything that the woman brings as well. This is not at all. Like we do understand that what the woman brings to the table as well. We're just only speaking to
us today.
Us. We're only speaking about us today. Like there's so many things that we have to be in just this you know, the smaller version of ourselves dangling between our legs.
So I have two things, and I'm glad you brought that up. So this morning, and this is just these are small situations that happens every day. Like this morning, I normally do the budgeting for our household, right, to make sure everything is, you know, where it needs to be. So I told my wife, I said, okay, this week we're specifically designating $611 to buying things for our home. So we ordered our beds and mattresses and stuff, right? And it came up to like $604. And she said, well, you can scroll down on Amazon and just add that other item.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so 604 plus 12 is well beyond 611. And when she said that, I was like, I don't get it. Like, I just don't understand. Why would you say that? And she made a statement that was so true, but I didn't let her know how true it was. She said, I was just playing. You got offended because you felt like you couldn't get me something I wanted when I asked for it, but I was just playing. That's so true. Like when she made that statement, I immediately went into scramble mode. Like, dang, I only designated 611. We spent 604, but she want this, so like I need to be able to put that in there somewhere. And I'm like, no, like, calm down. But I legit got defensive because I told her no, but internally I felt like I had to find a way to add those $12. We definitely could have added those $12. It wasn't that deep. But it's like, but I already assigned this specific amount that we agreed on to keep the finances where they need to be. But when you threw that other thing in there, it's like, oh, okay, want that? Got it. Let's find a way to do it. It's like, oh, that goes against everything that I agreed on. But she wanted, but that goes against. And in my mind, I'm like trying to scramble. Okay, how to do this? How to do this? It's like, bro, calm down. But like, don't say that though. Like, if we've already agreed on this, I've foundationally set that in my mind. Don't throw nothing else out there because I'm constantly trying to uphold all of your wants and needs. Don't do that to me. Mm-hmm. And it's like, dang, like we really got it bad. Like I've accepted this concept of the woman say something, you got to make it happen. Mm-hmm. But it's really not a good idea because that ain't what we doing this week. And even though she accepted, like I'm just playing, like just settle down. In my mind, I'm still running programs, trying to rearrange stuff and do stuff. And it's like, I don't have to, but because I accept your words are more valid than mine, or how you feel or what you want is more valid than mine, I gotta make it happen. And that's weight. Like that's weight on the man.
Do you feel like what do you feel like causes that? Like that internal need to
society's perspective of provider.
So in a sense you would have felt like if in that moment you would have felt like if I'm not able to provide this for my woman, I can't can be considered a man.
Yes, until I like, hold on, that society's perspective, like that ain't this. Like look at what I am doing. And it was something simple like a pack of socks. Like it was just the item wasn't the focal point. The focal point was I had to battle. If I tell her no, does that make me less? Even though my no is a very strategic, well planned out no. Like it's okay for me to say no and you will be okay. But because of societal's projection, that's something that we have. Well, I battled this morning because it's like, I am not free to say no without being looked at as less. And I didn't want her to look at me as less. And I know she didn't by no means because it was just a little game. But even though it's a game for y'all, for some men, it's an internal struggle.
Psychologically.
It's a psychological struggle. Mm-hmm. And like, I remember we went to a conference and I have to apologize to those men. I don't even know who y'all were. But we went to a conference a while back and it was a man's conference. And those men were up there crying and complaining about how their wives and doing this and that and how it made them feel. I'm like, y'all niggas weak. But it's like, I get it now, though. Right. Like, y'all been married 15, 20 years and you've never had a space to cry and explain how something your wife said made you feel or gave you the space to feel. So now that you have that chance, I get why y'all are crying. Mm-hmm. I get why y'all are hugging. I get why y'all are doing this. And to those men at that man's conference, I don't know where it was, I'm sorry because I now understand the weight that comes along with being a man.
And what's interesting about that is, so you do have those women who say, you know, I want my man to talk to me or express himself or whatever. But then in the same breath, if they were to cry or show any type of emotion, oh, my man is too weak. I need a man that's strong. You know what I mean? Like, it's a double-edged sword. Either you want me to be emotional or you want me to be strong.
We get punched in the face, you know for I mean? Like, everything.
So it's like, yeah, it's that psychological warfare. It's like, okay, I hear you saying you want me to do this, but at the same time, you also say you want me to be strong. And you don't perceive tears. You don't equate tears with strength.
Right.
Like, so it's so... It's got us so muddled in the
like,
brain.
I sat in that recliner when she said that. I'm glad she was in the bathroom because my face, I was like, she was like, I'm just playing. She was like, you ain't gotta do all that just because you told me no. And I'm like, but like, you don't know the warfare I just went through by telling you no. Like, I struggled to get that no out.
You got a lot of comments. All right, let's see. All right, so Rhonda Jones also said women have to learn to consider what men say. Be open. Yes. Monique responded to something. Rhonda said, I agree. We do need to do better. I often hear the saying, be your man's peace, and that does have some truth to it. Men have feelings as well. They work and get stretched just as much, if not more. Why do I keep doing that? If not more than we do. As much as we want them to listen to us, they want to be heard too. Yes.
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 Thank you, Monique.
Curvin Paul said, hey. Let's see. Joshua Williams said, teach, bro. I feel like that all the time. Yes.
Thank you.
Bobby Sims Jr. Women put emphasis on men being the head, but most lack the understanding of how comforting the pillow, women, must be to our head.
Boy! Say it again, because they ain't hear you in the back. Run that back one more time.
So women put emphasis on men being the quote-unquote head, but most lack the understanding of how comforting the pillow, meaning women, must be to our head.
They gave me chills.
Thought, and he put in parentheses, thoughts, words, gentle assertions, etc. Vice versa, the head can't lay too much pressure on the pillow. Yes, women either.
Man, he killed that.
Yeah. Ravis Ruffin, I agree with that. Joshua said, teach, bro. Monique said, being considerate of y'all's feelings also plays a factor into having effective communication as well. Rhonda Jones says, penis equals provision, protection, projection, and more. Yes, I like that.
Yes.
Yes. We're going to need to put that on shirt.
For real.
Yes. That's a good one, Rhonda. Thank you. Josh keeps saying, teach, bro. He liking us today. Kathy Wright said, that's great, but my ex demanded to be head first, and he had to be right, period, or it would result to me leaving the house. He would get very aggressive. I mean, turning over furniture or putting a hole in the wall. But the next day he would go to church and become the perfect deacon. That's why I would shut down immediately.
See, that's a problem.
Yeah, so Kathy, it sounds like you're dealing with the boy.
Yeah. In that sense, Kathy, you are dealing with someone who was underdeveloped in emotional intelligence. So like we're sitting down, we're talking it out, we're having effective communication to properly relay how we feel. But those boys or those who are underdeveloped in the emotional area, they do things like that because they don't know how to do what we're doing. I was going to ask you want to get that check a while ago. I kid you not, I was going to ask you that. So you were dealing with a boy, but the people that we're talking about are actual men who are developed in emotional intelligence. And the only thing we want to do is relay what we're relaying right now.
Mm-hmm. Monique said, battling that psychological welfare, or I think she meant warfare, can also lead to a lot of mental strain on y'all, but that's another thing we don't take into consideration.
I love how Monique, I love when women can acknowledge it. And the thing is, my wife always eventually comes to the understanding, but for the most part, it takes these conversations. It takes we be like
floating like a butterfly.
Yes, like it takes a lot. And I appreciate once we come to that breath of fresh air. But like Monique is saying, and Kathy and all the other people are saying, like, we have to get to a point where it's not taking that much to get here.
Yeah.
But I get why, because I mean, we 30 now and we've been doing this for so long. So I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight. But what I hope that people take away from these conversations is there are men out here that have effectively relayed these things. And now the next time it comes up in your friendship or relationship, you pause for just a moment to think back and be like, okay, this is my chance now to not add to the pressure, but actually take some of it away.
And so another thing I want to bring up, Joshua, I see your question and we're going to get to that real quick. I want to bring this up real quick. So another thing. So, you know, we've talked to several females who express the kind of guy that they want, and most of them say they either want a thug or somebody, you know, who's tough or
who's underdeveloped.
Right. Like women say, I want a thug, and I'm like, well, why a thug? Of all men,
out of all the types,
why do you like thugs? And their main response is always because I'm a lot to deal with, and I need somebody who is capable of putting me in my place. And my question to them is, well, why don't you just work on your attitude to where he doesn't have to do that? So it's like, that's another way in which y'all, or those kind of women who uphold that kind of standard or perception, doesn't care about the mental strain that you're putting on the man to have to deal with your emotional intelligence, like
your lack thereof. It's like, oh, this is heavy. Ooh, a guy, catch.
Right. Like, so what? Like, why you're intentionally wanting to put that on a man, but you're not considering, bro, that's a lot, yo, to have to put you in your place. Nobody should have to put anybody in their place. Everybody should be capable of honing in their own emotions, or reining in their own emotions, and being able to self-reflect, or to look in the mirror and say, hey, why do I feel like this? What is causing me to feel like this? Do I need to allow it to continue? Do I need to continue to allow it to make me feel like this? Or what can I do to grow from this situation, or to progress from the current state that I'm in? Like, everybody needs to be able to have that ability, but simply deciding to put that on someone else, how dare you, yo?
Like, the disrespect.
The gall, yo.
Like, it's like you legit acknowledge, ooh, I'm unstable. I currently don't have the ability to stable myself out, but maybe this person does. How do you expect me to do something that you can't even do right now? And then when I don't do it, I'm less than.
I'm not a man. I'm weak. Like,
oh, you should be able to handle her. What?
Y'all don't care about us.
Don't care about us.
So Joshua Williams, he asked a question. He was like, can y'all talk about the condemnation of comparison?
For men and women?
I'm assuming.
So,
Joshua, if you can specify, are you meaning the comparison between men and women? Men and women?
When I hear that, while he's getting the details, when I hear that, I'm thinking of this. The condemnation of comparison for men and women come in, and I'm going to use emotions because that's the main one. Because we're comparing societal's perspectives of women's emotions to be higher, I'm condemned for having them. Mm-hmm. But that's my human right. Like, we are the same emotion. We got the same bag of them. But the man is condemned or considered less than when compared to the covering we give the women. So men are condemned when compared to the emotions of a female. And that's crap.
And we've established that the standard has been set based on the woman's response or reaction when experiencing a certain emotion. So if a woman, if the standard of sadness is crying, and the woman is perceived as the one who cries when she's sad, if a man mimics that same display, now, you're more feminine than anything, or you must be gay, or you're not a man, because men don't cry, men don't express sadness.
So we don't have tear ducts.
You know what I mean?
Like some could be in my eye. You know, my mom probably died in my hand. Like, you don't care about none of that.
Like nothing.
Like,
nothing.
Yeah, we are definitely condemned when being compared to the standard,
or being taken care of by a woman.
Yes, like, condemned in too.
Men are supposed to be perceived as the providers, the one that's bringing home the check. But in the case where we're not,
as if we can't go to work and get fired,
right? Or as if or we can't stay at home and be house husbands. You know what I mean? Like, if we're the ones being taken care of by a woman, you're not a man because you're supposed to be providing for your woman. Times are different now, guys.
You know what's crazy? So let's look at the standard, the old school standard. The man goes out and it's considered a task for him to go to work, and it's considered a task for the woman to be at home, right? But if the woman goes out, it's considered a task for her to be at work, but for the man to be at home, it's not valid. It's not a task. You ain't doing nothing.
Yeah.
But how is it a task when the woman is doing it and not when we're doing it? Mm-hmm. Which goes back to, y'all don't care about us. Like, it's no longer considered a task to take care of the house, take care of the kids if the man is doing it. But if the woman is doing it, she take care of the house, she do this and that, that's a woman. That identified her for y'all. Or if the man is at work and then when he come home and doesn't also do that, it's still considered devaluing us.
Yep.
Like y'all, they just don't care.
Women who look for men to put them in their place, right? If a man is in a situation where he can be put in his place by a woman, women don't like that.
Yeah.
They don't want a
You
man.
weak.
Yeah, they don't want.
I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to raise a man. But y'all want us to raise a woman.
Right. Or we're perceived as weak or not capable of being able to provide that emotional balance that you need. Men need emotional balance as well. So let's talk about this. So we understand that there are times where for a woman, your emotional state may be heightened to the point where you need something out externally in order to balance you out or put you back in equilibrium, right? Y'all don't. The world doesn't consider that happens for the man as well.
They don't care.
Like
man.
there are times where we might be at in a heightened state emotionally, where something externally may need to be what we need to place us back in equilibrium. So we don't consider that though. No. You should be able to handle that
at all times.
Like,
they even got a song. What that girl name? You can't raise a man.
K. Michelle.
K. Michelle, yeah. She made a whole song about you can't raise a man, meaning when I meet somebody, if he's acting unmanly, it's not my job to get him to the state of manhood. But we have to get you to the state of womanhood. Yes. That's wild. Name one dude that made a song, can't raise a girl. We don't do that. Bro. We don't do y'all like that. We don't do y'all like that.
We don't care about us, yo. We don't care about us. Joshua said, I mean, when your spouse looks at other couples, sees where they are, then looks at you. Like, why aren't we there yet?
Yes. Ooh. You want this one or you? Okay, so my dude, and this is what people don't understand. Mm-hmm. Unless you and your spouse or partner is having these conversations, y'all will never get where those people are. So when the man comes to sit down and have these conversations and the woman still has that societal projection of what you say is not valid, we'll never get there. Because the only way that those couples got there is by having these conversations. Mm-hmm. But if you're upholding the concept of I'm a woman and my emotions overshadow what you say, we'll never get there, which creates another space of condemnation that we can't get out of.
Another one is something that we talked about last week with toxic femininity is like with the whole dating situation as far as who's paying for what. Because it's perceived that the man is usually the one to take care of that. If a man doesn't bring up the conversation of how are we paying for said activities for the night,
they ride it out.
Right. They're not gonna take initiative to bring up the conversation. So back to your point about having the conversation, some women may not, because they perceive that the man is supposed to be in control, they don't feel responsible for bringing up the conversation or for initiating the conversation on our goals or plans for the future of how we get from point A to point Z.
The condemnation of comparison is so wild because nobody is naturally born with effective communication. So on top of us already not having effective communication, on top of us already having societal projections of each person's role in a relationship, you're now looking at someone who you don't see the backstory of them having conversations, getting to this level. You're now adding, we don't look like them. Mm-hmm. You will never look like them because you're not willing to consider and do the things that they did to get there. So the condemnation becomes so real because, number one, uncondemned for being an actual man, meaning matured enough to open the floor for this. You're condemning me for projecting this ideal, which is already in a state of our relationship not being in a place to even have this conversation. And now we're comparing ourselves to those people over there, not seeing the backstory of they've already did all of this work to get there. Mm-hmm. We might well just call this a quit. like we just stacking problems on top of problems on top of problems.
So leading to the next question, how did we get so comfortable with this? How did we get so comfortable with this? I think just so after years and years of tooting the same horn or singing the same tune, like this has become the norm. But
just let her have it, bro.
Right. Like, but what's crazy is it's not normal. Like, as much as it's become the normal, it's still not normal. You know what I mean? Like, we're trying to make something normal that ain't natural, yo.
It ain't.
It's not natural. How do y'all feel we've gotten so comfortable with these ideas that have been perpetuated throughout society throughout all these years?
And while y'all are answering that, like if you was to see, if a female see a dog crying, like on those feed the animal commercials, like they're like, oh, but like let them run up on their man crying. Like if you walk in and like your man sitting there crying, it's like, nigga, get off,
yo, go cut the grass or something.
You just was trying to adopt a dog for a tear, though. I'm hurt.
I'm hurt. Yo.
I'm hurt.
I am hurt. Relations are work. Yes.
Oh, relationships are so much work.
But they don't have to be. So I do agree that the way that we try and make them work nowadays, they are work. But we can agree that they don't have to be work. Like they don't have to be as difficult as we make it, but we make it harder than it has to be by trying to go along with these ideas that don't make sense for the situation at hand. Like they don't make sense for. Got enough. Rhonda Jones, after you hear things for so long, you just start to accept it.
Yeah.
Occasionally. Yeah.
And I blame us, even though it's hard to voice these things because of how you think society is going to feel. But because no one, not necessarily no one, but you don't rarely find men who are upstanding men in society who have a wife, who have a child, who have in a relationship, committed relationship, not out here, doing drugs and doing dumb stuff, sitting down saying, hey, I have feelings. Like, because we don't do it, society continues to pull the traditional view. So we have to do our part at stepping outside of that and saying hey, I feel this way, and it's okay that I feel this way, and y'all should listen to how I feel as well. So we have a part to play. So the question I asked, how do we get here, is because we got silent. We started accepting what society say we should be, as opposed to saying, hold on, that's cute, but that's not reality.
Do you think we should? Because I know we mentioned this last week. As far as men looking out for each other, do you think we should look out for each other first and make it okay amongst ourselves first before introducing this to the rest of the world?
Definitely, because if we don't, the world gonna beat these sleeves off you. like I make it my business to congregate at least 3 or 4. Like I'll tell you that I keep like 3 good friends that we either not on the same mentality, but you have a good concept or understanding of what I'm saying, and I also you, so that when it's time for me to say, hey world, this is how I feel. It's 3 of us, so I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
Not just to have somebody to back me up, but just to let y'all know that I'm not the only one. So this ain't just crazy talk. Like, it's other people that feel like this too.
Yeah, and it's especially hard when, people like Jazz considers men like us unicorns. So like you're willing to accept that, okay, y'all are different, but the rest of y'all can go to hell.
That's why I'm making my business. Hey, homeboy, come on.
Yeah.
Tell her what you just told me.
Right, like.
Nah, man. No. Tell her what the fuck you just told me.
So, yeah, it is especially hard. Yeah, we do. It is a good idea to try and gather their strength in numbers.
Yes, as many as. That's how society did us. Society as a whole decided that these are the requirements of being a man. So we need just as many people to be like, hey,
they ganged up on us.
They beat these fleas off us.
Outnumbered.
Yeah, so I'm making my business to be like, hey, I got 3 homeboys that y'all may think this crazy, but all 4 of us feel like this.
Agree.
So now what?
So yes.
What you gonna do now?
So if you can find us for it, I'm sure
there's more out there.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. We do have to do better with speaking out. We do. That is our responsibility and our part to play.
Yeah, we got together.
Make sure we got together.
So like, I really feel bad now. Like when I tell you I roasted those husbands and boyfriends, like I was roasting them. Like, y'all niggas weak. But like, I get it now, and it was a room full of them. Like, I need to go find them. Like, hey, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's get them. Let's get them.
Conferences or something. Rhonda Jones said, at some point you should scratch your head and say, wait, this is stupid. Yes. Absolutely. Next question. What type of space does it create for us mentally? These things that these ideas that society has perpetuated, what type of space does it create for us mentally? I think this a lot of times leads to a lot of the mental instability or the mental health issues that you see in today's men. Their inability to, they don't, because there isn't an outlet for their emotions or for their thoughts or their feelings or whatever the case is, the more it festers inside the brain. Now it creates chemical imbalances. Oof. Like you start to have.
That's why I'll do punch a hole in the wall.
Right, because that's his only way of releasing what's in it. Like it's like a pipe. The more pressure a pipe has, is going to end up bursting. So that's the result of all of these ideas that are being placed on us, because there is no perceived outlet for these emotions or feelings or these thoughts, and we're holding it in. At some point, it's going to come out in the version of punching a hole through the wall.
Because it's the only thing that they give us, aggression. They give us that.
Right.
They give us that.
Or it's going to come out in the form of, abusing my wife or my girlfriend, whatever the case is.
Or kids.
Or, it's going to come out in the form of abuse or violence against whoever is around us at the time who can receive this. Because nobody else is giving me the ability to get this out incrementally. So I think that's the kind of mental space it creates, is a violent one.
And also a silent one. Like, me and Swan were having a conversation this morning, and like, I legit said the same thing like 6 times, and she was constantly trying to make sure I heard her first point, and I had already agreed to it.
And I noticed she does that
like,
a lot.
I heard you the first time, and I agree, I accept, and I acknowledge that. So I literally had to say, okay, baby, like, I get it. So let's put a period on your point, and it's all considered, and I will now activate and walk actively in your point. So now moving on to my sentence, this is how I feel. Mm-hmm. And her response was restating her point to make sure I heard her. And I'm like, I heard that the first time.
I noticed she does that a lot.
And she eventually got to the point where she was like, oh, this is what you were saying. But like, that was like the 7th time I said it. And I had already decided, okay, I see now that she's not in a mental space to receive what I said. So I'm going to just stop talking and acknowledge what she said until later we can continue this conversation. And I hope then she'll get it. Mm-hmm. And I had to accept that. But before we ended it, she finally circled back and was like, okay, that's what you were saying. And it's like, but now I wanted to strangle you. Like, I wanted to grab your throat. But thank you. So now we don't have to get the domestic violence charge. Thank you. After the 7th time, right. I don't have to put my hands on you. Right. By no means am I promoting. I'm just telling you the mental space that it creates.
This is what happens, yo. Kathy Wright said, what do y'all think about the saying, men, you can be right or you can be happy, or the saying, happy wife, happy life? I think men have to be happy in relationships.
Toxic. Yes, that's that toxic. They don't care about us. Yes, happy wife, happy life. What? But what you did don't make me happy. And if I'm supposed to be the head and I'm not happy, can you imagine the headache that this body is finna experience?
And that goes back to women have leeway to just be whatever. Like, men are seen as the more logical creature, while women are seen as the more emotional creature. So they're allowed to be emotionally irate or just imbalanced or whatever the case is, while we have to be the ones to make up for it, to fix it if anything were to go wrong. And that's where that saying, happy wife, happy life.
What? That's a prime example. Y'all don't care about us.
Y'all don't.
That's a prime example.
Like, it's in the saying.
Like, y'all don't care.
Man, you can either be right or you can be happy.
We have to choose. We have to. It's like saying you can choose to be hungry or you can choose to eat. I got to eat. Y'all don't care. Well, my brother, you can either be happy or you can be what?
Right.
You can be happy or you can be right. Why do I have to choose?
The two are not mutually exclusive.
Right, like right is right. So if I'm right in the situation, I need to be right.
And that's and it gives women no responsibility or accountability to have to consider what they just did. Like they're not held accountable for the
No.
fact that the decision I just made makes absolutely no sense.
No.
But we gonna ride with it anyway.
But yeah,
let's
what?
go.
I don't have the space to do that.
I don't,
because
yo.
if a decision that I make makes no sense and I do it, my whole family is going down the drain.
We all going down.
We all going down.
It's crazy. Joshua Williams said, I personally don't believe that it's your spouse's job to make you happy.
Ooh, I be trying to tell people that. Like, that's so toxic to enter a relationship for the sole purpose of I'm looking for someone to make me happy. My dude or my female, if you don't currently make yourself happy, how in the world do you expect somebody else to do it?
And then if that person does make you happy, once they're taken away, what do you
What you
have?
do then?
Like,
Yeah.
what are you going to do?
Depression, anxiety, suicide. That's where all this other stuff come from.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad, man. It's really bad.
Last question. How does it affect those who uphold these standards around us? So how does it affect those around us who uphold these standards?
I want to choke them.
Domestic violence.
Like I want to,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I be want to punch people in the face.
Yeah.
Like
Domestic violence.
when I'm talking to people who, even after me detailedly explaining these things, and they still carry on, I'm like, I'll headbutt you till blood runs down my face. I'm like, it's better for me to just stop talking to you because now I'm angry.
I think you remember that night when we went to go see the lights, and when we each needed a moment to ourselves.
Yeah.
We just needed
Just
a minute.
hold on, everybody. Just pause.
And like a lot of times, the women in our lives, even though they know we need a minute, they still feel like, they want to be all up on us, or they want that emotional connection.
I will kill you. Back up.
It's like people don't realize the same way that we have to love and accept you when it's inconvenient for us. Y'all have to give us that same courtesy. Like, love us even when it's inconvenient for you. So if we need a minute, but you want to be all up on us,
Give me a minute.
just give me a minute. I know it's inconvenient because you want to be all up on us,
me
but
a
we
minute.
need that minute because usually we don't have that emotional space.
If I don't have this minute, we won't have no house because I'm gonna burn it down. Like, if you don't give me these 60 seconds, we gonna be homeless.
We are going to be
finna
out
burn
on
the
the
house
street.
down.
So as far as people around us, y'all might end up being end up on the tail end of a blow, like a fist thrown, or a house getting burned down, or me quitting my job because I had enough. Like, you know what I mean? Like you end up on the tail end of an irrational decision because it was built up so long. Like, I have no other choice but to release it in some crazy way. So y'all end up on the tail end of that. So
Why would you want to put yourself in that position? It's like walking up to a nuclear reactor, knowing that if you press that button, because of all the time and energy that's been put into this thing, it's gonna blow. And you walk up, it'll be all right. Poof!
it's crazy.
Like, bruh.
It's crazy.
We're like walking time bombs.
We are. Monique said, that's good. It does put such a mental strain on y'all. It causes y'all also to become impatient with us. Yes. Which will eventually lead to anger towards us. And then we're left there thinking like, what happened? Man, we are what happened. Yes.
Say that again. Say that again.
So that's good. It does put such a mental strain on y'all. It causes y'all also to become impatient with us, which will eventually lead to anger towards us. And then we're left there thinking like, what happened? Ma'am, what happened?
You are what happened.
You are what happened to me, son.
Someone to be like, you good? What? I'll be like, you still alive? I love my wife to death, but like, we all struggle with these concepts because of how society raised us. And the only way to get through it is to talk it out.
Yes, bro. Talk it out.
Man,
for sure.
You good.
So what
you ain't finna be good. You need to step away. You need to walk away.
Am I good? Did you ask me that?
You asked me.
Not you.
Not you. I'd accept it from anybody else that don't say that.
You can't say that right now.
You can't say that.
So
you alright in there? No. I'm not.
You're still in here. But yeah, so what is the moral of this? What are we taking away from this conversation? We've got a lot of laughing. Shay said, okay, what up, Shay? She said, it was honestly hard for me to accept that because in the moment I want to talk, but he just needs a moment. Yes. Joshua said, man, that's for real. Yeah, like,
Legit.
Yes, bro.
Legit.
We be needing that, yo. So what are y'all taking away from this? What is the moral of today's discussion? What are y'all going to take away from this? I want to hear your thoughts. After everything that was discussed, what is the main thing you're going to take away from this? Rhonda Jones said, the phrase happy wife, happy life counteracts men being the head of household. Makes no sense. Yes. We want to hear y'all's thoughts. What is the moral of today's discussion? What are y'all going to take away from this? And while they're getting their thoughts together, so what do you think needs to be done in addition to, these talk it out sessions and providing that space to talk or to express how we feel? Like what else needs to be done in addition?
For me, to be honest, I feel like it really all boils down to y'all being selfish. Like y'all consider your thoughts and emotions as more valid than ours. And the only thing that I'm asking is for you to consider ours as well. I'm not asking you to agree with them. I'm not even asking you to accept them. But at least consider what I just said as another perspective. That is all. And once everyone does that, that whole y'all don't care about us, it disappears. Because you can at least consider how what you just said or what you did could have affected me, and my affection of it matters as well. That's it. And all this can disappear. Yep. Just consideration disappears all of the problems.
Mm-hmm. I think for me, I just want that same energy, bro. Mm-hmm. That, like you said, just consideration.
Just consider.
Rhonda says self-reflection. Okay. Yeah, just it's that same energy, like you said, considering our feelings and emotions to be just as valid as yours. Considering that our safety matters just as much as the women's or the children's safety as well. Like everything that y'all want on y'all's end, we want that same in return. Like we actually want that, and it's sad because we don't feel like we're able to express that we want it.
I'm scared to ask for it.
Right.
Like I'm scared to ask for my human rights. like I'm legit in the closet. Like, dang, I got this emotion, but if I come out, I'm not. So I'll just I'll leave it in. I'm gonna punch you in the face 2 days from now, but I'm gonna leave it in. Then you wonder why you hit me, my dude. Like I felt like I had no other option. Yeah, I had to punch you in the face.
But yeah, I think before any consideration can be done, I think there will have to be more talk it out sessions or sessions amongst men who are now given that space to express how they want or how they feel. So now they know they don't have to play a part in perpetuating these same ideas that's been placed.
Because we be upholding it, but internally wanting something else.
Right.
So let's stop upholding these things and tell people what the freak we want.
Right. And then if someone tries to come and push that on us, we can be like, hold up. That's not true, or that's not right. Yeah. That's not how I'm going to choose to do this. So yeah, I do think we do play a huge part in breaking down that, because as long as we're allowing for people to place that on us, nothing's going to change. So we have to provide some type of resistance. And I think once that resistance is provided, resistance is provided or given, I think it'll make put them people take a step back. Yeah, it'll put people in a place to where they have to really analyze. Like, dang, did he just do that?
Did I really just ask him to not shed a tear? Like he got tear ducts,
right? Like, and then now that they're able to ask themselves, like, what's going on, now that can even open up discussion between them, like between man and woman, and say, hey, so this is why I resisted when you said this, or this is why you're getting pushed back for what you normally would expect of me. This is why this is no longer happening. And once that dialogue can be created between man and woman, now consideration and can be had, and now that same energy can be given on both sides. The same energy that you expect of me, okay, at the very least give it back on your end. So I think that is also important as well. Joshua said, I'm taking away that I don't be afraid to be emotional as man It doesn't make me weak. It makes me human.
Yes,
Absolutely,
thank
bro.
you.
Absolutely.
And that's something like I've, especially here lately, like I literally, like I've been like bungee diving in my emotions just so that I can fully comprehend all of my emotions because I spent over 20 years holding them in from fear of letting them out being considered lesser. But like I legit be all in them now. I'm talking all of them from anger. Like once I decide on which one I'm doing, I waddle in it. Like whether it's happiness, joy, compassion, love, fear, like I be in it and I'm looking for every aspect of it to express. And I want to see how people gonna react to me. So you may get a random text like, I love you, bro. Like I'm talking like on a Wednesday morning at 2 a.m. I woke up. Dang, I love Aaron. I love you, bro. Dang, I love my cousin or my mom or my wife. Like, I love you. Like, I want to see now that I'm in these things, how you going to receive me? And that, for me, opens up the door to be like, well, why you didn't feel like saying it back? Or how did it make you feel when I randomly told you I love you? I ain't never had no man to tell me that. So how does it make you feel? Well, I feel like, oh, it just made me feel funny. Well, why does it make you feel funny? Like, that creates a space and we can take it there now.
Let's take it there.
Let's take it there.
Monique said, normalizing men expressing their feelings openly, no judgment. Okay. Kathy Wright, I feel both have to be heard, talk it out, work it out, and we both have to be happy in the relationship. Absolutely.
Correct.
Rhonda Jones said, yep, shut the behavior down. Yep. Monique also said, that's good, Adrian. Sitting in your feelings is necessary. It helps us to be more self-aware. Absolutely.
Legit.
Yeah. And then it also allows you, and it's sad that you have to do that, but it allows you to be able to process your emotions properly at the very least. Like those times where we need a moment to ourselves, we're using that moment or that time to process how we feel. And because, and this is both men and women, like even though women are given the space to express their emotions, they don't know how to properly process their emotions. And men aren't given it at all, like not even the space or
the outlet. Yeah.
So it's like, sitting in your emotions is very important, not just to feel the emotion, but to also process and understand why you're feeling the emotion. But so for so long we've just been taught, or at least for women, it's just been taught, just be angry.
Yeah, and whatever the first thing come up, do it.
Yeah. So yeah, sitting in your emotions is real great. Yeah, so I think that's a good stopping point. That was some good dialogue.
Oh yeah.
So we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you for all of those who were commenting and sharing your perspective.
Definitely.
Joshua Williams, Kathy Wright,
Bobby
Monique Gonzalez,
Sims.
Rhonda Jones, Bobby Sims, all of y'all. If I left anybody out, I apologize. Shay Price. Thank you guys for tuning in and sharing your perspective and hearing us out as well, and allowing for us to create this space to express how we feel and to let you know that, you know, this is what we're feeling and this is what we want to improve on. So tune in next week, same time, same place, for another edition of our Talk It Out sessions. Right now, we forgot to say hi to our future selves. But right now we're going to say goodbye to our future selves. One day we'll look back on this and wonder why we were ever like this in the first place.
And by the way, Bobby Sims, the mic is a Movo. It's on Amazon. I don't remember how much it costs. I think we have a box somewhere.
Yeah, this is what it looks like right here.
You can get it from Amazon. They got like 2 receivers, 3 receivers, and then like it's a connection you hook into the phone that it projects the vocals.
Yes. All right. On that note, we'll holler at you.